So idea is to create a conversation and a dialogue about creating a sustainable space and how do you build it out and regarding your experience and what you have done.
Uh, Hi, good morning. So my name is Rutuja Achlare. I'm originally a developer, so I've done my MBA in real estate from New York. But currently I run an art farm called Ecoville, which is not too far from here. So very close to Baner, there's an area called Maharunge. So we run an art farm. What I mean by that is we've converted a family-owned farm, which is 3.5 acres. It's a full-grown mango orchard and a lot of other fruit-bearing, flower-bearing, and herbs and spices that we grow. We've converted this space into an art farm, so we curate a lot of art and nature centric experiences. So, in the art bit, we invite a lot of different artists from Pune and Bombay to do different workshops. And in the nature bit, we're trying to reconnect kids to nature. So, we do a lot of like eco retreats and summer camps and things where they learn more about the ecosystem firsthand by touching, feeling, smelling. Because there's a lot of learning that's happening in schools, but it's all through books and videos. There's no first-hand experience of touching, feeling, smelling for kids. So ideally, it'll be very, very good for kids to understand things around them, value nature more, understand the process of farming or growing your food. So we focus on all of this, and it's a lovely place. So a lot of people just come to spend time outdoors and reconnect with nature in general. So that's what I do, and the name Ecoville basically says it's environment friendly. So everything that we do on the farm is very sustainable, very organic. All the structures are built very mindfully. We take like very, very small things into consideration when we run the place in terms of operations. Thank you.
So I think the introduction is made much more easier. Where my name is Pavan Iyengar and I am the co-founder at DLRC, the Learning Farm, which is a school where we've got Ecoville to school. So I think it's been amazing what Ecoville's been doing, and we've been inspired by similar such initiatives all across the country, the world, and what we have not very far from here. And that's why I said to Vandita, requested her that next time we have the Kalapentry and the garage sale, we need to have it on campus.
Yes.
And so we've been able to create a sustainable space with community participation. And it is a school, it's the learning space, it's a community center that is built out of mud, wood, and bamboo with a lot of participation. And briefly, with respect to the journey, I started out my journey like after 12 in architecture, 6 months in architecture. I survived 6 months because of Arjun's father, and so Doshi sir, like Guido as we call him, he's been a great mentor all along, and I think we've all been lucky to have amazing mentors all across from school time, and I was no different. And I saw the kind of mentoring impact that it makes, and that's why we were really inspired to create a space like that. And in the words of a friend who runs the loft, he said that the environment is such that it learns. So the learning farm is the environment that learns. So that was amazing, and that's what we've been able to create.
Uh, my name is Arjun Doshi. I'm a practicing architect, but I'm a co-founder in a firm called a Studio Acrobat. I practice with Neha Dole, my partner. We are pure architecture firm. We basically started with trying to figure out how we can have more hands-on experience, wherein a lot of age-old technologies, which do not require a lot of machinery, has been revived through our practice, and we've been trying to promote those because today it's more of a machine-centric environment where a lot of machinery and technologies are used, which are mechanized. So we try to get the human touch back, the kind of practice which we are doing, and trying to get a master builder back. It is more about the architect being the king today. So we try to get the master builder back, who was the one who used to actually get everyone together and make it work. So we are trying to practice that way, and we've been quite successful so far. Even my guru is my father, Guido, as rightly said, and many other people who introduced a lot of technologies to us, which we have tried to inculcate in our practice.
So what we'll try to make this conversation more interesting for them. It's like we'd like to create a dialogue of course. बातचीत हो उनके साथ तो मतलब बनता है इतने धूप में आ ही गए हो तो वसूल करो कुछ तो भी. We'll take one common question about like what kind of impact that you have created in terms of sustainability at your respective organization. Maybe that can be through numbers that you can share. Like for you maybe so and so students or like respectively हो सकते हैं लेकिन नंबर. Just to give you context to the audience कि यार हम लोग ने ये किया है. The impact that we have created to the environment, sustainable or through ventures, it can be anything that you are comfortable to share with the open domain like public.
So, when I said that everything that we're doing on the farm is very sustainable, I also answered this question yesterday when I was moderating the session, but I'm going to repeat myself again. So, because we're originally from the real estate industry, my family business is real estate and construction. So, we've made it a point to reuse a lot of our construction waste on the farm. So, for example, I'll give you some practical examples that work really well. When you build a kitchen counter, there's a black kadapa that you use, and you take a cutout in the kadapa to put your sink in. So these little cutouts we've used for pathways. A discarded maybe construction cart was used for as a planter maybe. Or all our old furniture from the show flats or the sales offices is used as the farm furniture. So we've not really bought anything new. If you see our lights, we've just used topiaries with bulbs. So it's all very rustic, very handmade, very natural material. So we've used a lot of stone, bamboo, wood, like Sir said. Also, the way the places are designed, we have a lot of natural light ventilation. So none of our structures are closed on 4 sides. So all our structures are open either on 3 sides or 4 sides. We also have polycarbonate sheets on top in the restroom, pottery studio, in a lot of places, even in the kitchen area. So there's a lot of natural light. So our dependency on electricity is almost zero during daytime. So a lot of natural light, natural ventilation. For example, even in the restrooms, on top there are slits on 3 sides. So we don't need an exhaust fan. And it's a beautiful space. I mean, you should definitely come see it. But coming back to your question, when you see all of this in person, it's inspiring for some people, and you feel like these are such simple things that are doable at home as well. So I think it's all about inspiring people and giving them practical ways of utilizing certain things very innovatively. And awareness is the most important thing, I think, when it comes to sustainability. So it's an ongoing process. So in terms of numbers, I might not be able to give you how many people are really inspired and are aware now. But it's an ongoing process, and I think the more we talk about sustainability, train children, and just show them more live ways of doing things in a better fashion, I think it's a lovely learning. Also, a little more about that. So we do a lot of curated events at Ecoville. So we do like a Halloween celebration, we'll do a Christmas, we'll do a lot of other things. But we talk about being sustainable in every possible way. So, for example, I'll tell you about the Christmas celebration that we did at Ecoville. So Christmas, usually when you do celebrate and kind of decorate a Christmas tree at home, people are using these fake Christmas trees that are plastic because the pine tree is not native to our weather, so we don't get those real pine tree tops in India. But the parents really want their child to have some fun and celebrate Christmas. So we're all ending up buying these fake Christmas trees and then decorating them with again plastic ornaments. So something that's not made in India, not made by hand, mass produced, which is not sustainable at all, because you'll end up using the Christmas tree for a year or two, but then where does it land up, right? It's going to land up in a landfill and you're never going to reuse it after 3-4 years because you want something bigger, newer, something nicer. So at Ecoville, even though we have the Indian versions of the Christmas trees, we actually decorate a mango tree because that is native to our weather and where we're from. So we decorate an entire mango tree with fabric ornaments, with ceramic ornaments, with wooden or bamboo ornaments, and metal, a lot of metal bells. So we'll not do plastic bells, we'll do a lot of metal bells. But this actually every time around Christmas time when kids visit, we talk about all of this. And when they see it, they like it. So they understand better. Even like a Christmas tree building workshop with origami we did. It's again made out of reused recycled paper. So a lot of these small things like a gingerbread house making, but again with very sustainable material, things that are edible. So we focus on all of this in every possible little way, and I think the kids take home a lot of like good learning and awareness from all of this.
Wow. So, yeah, in terms of impact, I would say the most important impact that we are creating is showing 250 students, their families, and 30 facilitators how to live life sustainably every day through practice. That's what we've been doing, and that's what our vision is. That they are change makers of not tomorrow, of today. And when we look at our campus, not 1 ounce of sewage is created out of this whole campus. We've got a composting toilet, biocomposting toilet, and it is completely used on the farm. We have very minimal electricity usage. And we are we have given a project to 9th standard students in physics to make the load management for solar panels. So we're going to install that solar panels after they submit the report. And in terms of the impact, we have this constant dialogue towards being net green, and I would sum it up like that. And of course, we have got some other things on campus where we have a biogas system where we're not creating enough waste on campus, so we're importing waste, and we're reducing PMC's job to an extent. And we've got an aquaponics unit on campus where we're having this dialogue that can we use lesser water. So aquaponics uses about at least 60% lesser water. So can we do that? Can we do that more? And everybody talks about farming, everybody talks about organic farming. But the most important crucial bit is when the produce is there, how do you get it to the buyers? You do understand that. So there's a lot of practice that is required. And I would say that the dialogue towards that practice is the main impact that we've been able to create in the community.
I think when it comes to sustainable, everyone looks at an architect, but I think he's the one who's destroying. Because to be the most sustainable is not to build. The best way to any sustainability is ideally not touch anything, like the ground or whatever. Because once you start any kind of construction, first thing you have to do is excavate. With excavation starts all the other things. You are disturbing the ground, you are disturbing the eco around it, there's dust in the air and what. So it's a very grey area when it comes to sustainability, and everyone wants to talk about all the positives of it, all the products around it. And every architect today is bound by installing a product, because which client will today try and build a sustainable house? Probably who has a lot of money. A person who is building his first home or purchasing his first home, he'll look at the price tag first, right? Everyone else will think about the convenience, and then it's the last person, the topmost, who has a lot of money, and he is the one who is really interested. Or the other way around. Probably let's talk about the lifestyle around it. It's the sustainability is not just about the buildings or anything. It's a lifestyle. I think Pawan has cycled here. Have you come on your cycle? He generally, he walked, so even more sustainable. He didn't even use a means. So Pawan is a true example of a lifestyle. He's trying to teach in a school where it's 100% free. He tries to travel in a method where he's not consuming more energy than required. Of course, you're consuming energy because you eat more. You consume more food, so that's energy again. Like there was a research, the highest producing green gas today in the US is the coal. The pigs, the living pigs are the ones which is being, not the cars, not the pollution, nothing. It's the pigs who are, and they are creating that green gas or non-environment friendly substance in an area which is completely green, because they are in the farms, they are in the rural areas. So sustainable it's not how this thing is, but it's how the whole environment is. So what we try to do is that at least when a project comes to us, we try to have a conversation with the client right from day one, how less he is going to build. Like there is, if someone wants to build bungalow, he comes in with this vague idea, and he first thing he'll say, I need a big hall, big kitchen, 4 bedrooms, 1 lift. I say lift is going to cost you 20 lakhs. Let's make a provision for it. The lift will never come through, but he wants a provision because that's what he's thinking. That's where he wants to reach. Why 4 bedrooms? Because one is for them, one is for their parents, one is for their kids. That's a, that's a like it's a bucket list. Ye chahiye. Anyone beyond that, irrespective of the size of the plot, like see the room requirement is irrespective of that. Then you look at the community at large, like when a school comes in picture, or an institute comes in, or rather some ashrams or anything like that. They have a infrastructural requirement. First thing is water. How many people are getting water from outside when it's a remote site, like how Pawan's school is? It's a very remote project. When they started, probably they didn't have any facility. They didn't even have a road. They used to walk into their property. So they had to create all that. So because the way Pawan is, he could do it. Because he said, "No, this is not how it's going to be." But probably a reality. Probably they would first get a water tank built, then think of a source of water which is far away. Because if water was available there, then that land wouldn't be cheap. The land would, like, there would be some civilization or some organization or some town, village, hamlet already there. Someone would have already taken. So you have to get that water for travel. So that is the step one, and then it goes on. So we have tried, we've not been successful, but we've tried to communicate this with the client and try to work out the balance wherein it can get sustainable, not now, probably 10 years from now.
Also sharing about that, I could walk today because I live just across the road. But still, I prefer to walk, use the bus, cycle, of course, or the fourth transport. I don't know if somebody can guess that. Because the fourth mode of transport, people don't use it today as much. It should use. And males can use in a better way, in an easier way. Lift. so interestingly, from Susgaon, if you try to take a lift, you get lift. But in Pune, if you try to get lift, people will not. It's just to kind of spiral down to what you said. When I take lift, it's not just for, you're using resources. It's also a great networking point. Right? So I've met so many different kind of people on the lift, and you have a conversation, you strike a conversation. We've seen a TED talk on communities where they say that communities who live in slums, they're much more connected. When you travel in public transport, you're doing something good for yourself. Not because of the environment, not because of the fuel, but because you're able to see different stories. You're able to connect with different individuals all across. Right? The conductor who's shouting at the top of his voice, the kid who's just kind of sliding across. And so, you see all these scenarios. And for me, actually, apart from the environment, apart from the aspect, this is the fun aspect of public transport, of cycling. I don't know how many of you would have been involved in it or seen. There are these random cycle races that you have. एक cyclist आता है, दूसरा cyclist आता है, वो बोलता है मैं तेरे से आगे जाता हूँ. But that for me is the most fun in cycling. And I think you need to make it. I mean, you need to first understand your priorities. Like, what are your personal priorities? And then, because you're so passionate about those priorities, they organically lend themselves into the business or everything that you do. And then when you start seeing meaning, like I'm sure even like seen the Moji Cafe, it's so much you, and it's so amazing. And I think that's an amazing example of what sensibilities that you have. How do you get that to your organization, to the people around you, and allow them to add in their own sensibilities, right? And then make magic out of it. And then, yes, I think always having this question that, okay, are we doing the best? Can we do better? Like 4 years ago, if you had to contact me, you couldn't because I didn't have a phone. Now I have one, but I want to get back to not having one, right? So we have different struggles all of us. But I think, yes, I would say that prioritizing it, getting to your business is something that I see as a way to. And cycling is not that difficult by cycling. We can have a conversation later about it.
Actually, Pawan is the worst example. He's the most sustainable example for your question. So he's the worst person to answer this. You need to ask a married person. What you are trying to actually say is, how do you do it when you have a family? When you have, that's what I said. Pawan does everything always sustainable. Like, I have a wife, I have a kid. My wife wants a bigger car. My son wants a bigger cycle, and it's going to go on. So, how do you said you are a workaholic? So, first thing is you need to reduce your work. Why are you a workaholic? Maybe there were two reasons: you want to make more money, or you want to become greater in what you are. So, first sustainable thing is to probably reduce your work. Now, if you reduce your work, what happens to the stakeholder? You know, if we do projects which are not always sustainable. Why? Because we have to keep the practice sustainable. Yeah, what is sustainable? We need to come, have the fans running. We need to have the staff happy. If I say I'm a fakir, tum log bhi fakir ban jao, so people will be like, no, we don't. We don't want to be. We want to, like young architects want to make money because they have their needs. You have your phone, everything. So everyone wants. So how do you make it sustainable? So the best way to start is reduce whatever you're doing. If you're going twice a week, eating outside, then you probably come down to one. If you're buying a lot of, water which is filtered, use more unfiltered water. Like I stay in the city. I'm very lucky. My grandfather built a great home, so we stay in the city. So we still use the tap water. We don't have a filter. We don't have a filter at our home. But any homes we do, first thing is when we talk about kitchen, we talk about an RO. There's no other way because in Baner, so all is tanker water. Now, who is responsible for it? Probably the government. But why is government responsible for a rapid development which they never planned? So there are many factors to it. So the best way to start is with you, and then think about it. When you're thinking of a new home, do you need it? Think of a new furniture. How much do you need? So it's like a community. Then the community kicks in. Like Pawan has traveled a lot on cycle. He's been to Ladakh on a solo trip and all that. So there is a region in Ladakh which is very interesting, which is just been opened up for civilians. It's called as Turtuk. So it is something which India got back during the war. So that community has a common refrigerator. It has a common natural cooling system within that town, and everyone shares, everyone talks. It's a very small community. That's, I think, a very ideal example of how community comes together. Of course, there were Bombay Chawls. There are many other. There are Vadas and all these things. But see, Bombay Chawls also came into picture when people had to come together for some work. There were mills and everything. But this is a community which is sustaining since many years. And the reason for them is because they had no government. Neither Pakistan wanted to take over, neither India wanted to take over. Off lately, because of the Modi government, it has opened. So it's very interesting. Someone should study.
Yeah, just to add in about it, that just taking an example, if you want to bring that change, if you want more people to do upcycling, and if you're passionate about upcycling, then you would actually create a culture around upcycling in your company. And then that's how I think communities can adopt those practices. And then that becomes practice for every other person in the organization. I think that dialogue is very important. And then dialogue for action. It's not just about talking. Like, just an example is that there are so many cleanups happening in Pune. And there are so many organizations that are just cleaning the streets. So why are they doing that? Are they not workaholics? They might be. But I think for them the priority is that we want a cleaner city. Right? And similarly, I think there are enough married people or enough people with families who are using cycles or all these things. I think it's about, again, it's not about liabilities, but still it is about priorities. And if you have a particular priority, it's about making it work. And the whole family actually supports it if you are passionate enough for it. Yes, I don't think any of us would say that it's easy walk. So it is a difficult one. But You do the difficult work because you're convinced that you want to do it. And there are many ways of convincing yourself that it is the best thing for your business to do. So I think it's that mind shift that we require as people practice it and put our neck out and make sure that people agree that we are doing it.
Yeah. So I think Vandita, it's a process. Like I don't know if there's like zero, like 100% sustainable place. Like we are not where we would like to be. Ideally, I would love to have more sustainable toilets. But understand the business priority as well, because we're an art farm, but we registered under agro-tourism. So it's a hospitality industry, it's a service industry. So the guests that are coming to the farm have certain expectations from the place. So for us, it is a challenge to kind of, head in a more sustainable way, but at the same time also satisfy your guests. For example, we don't really promote packaged drinking water. We want to have these larger jars because we don't get water from the government at all. But that's obviously more sustainable than the small bottles because it's reusable and all of that. But a lot of guests that come to EcoWith sometimes are not okay with that water. Like they want drinking packaged bottled water because they think that's safer. So there is a challenge obviously, but it's one step closer to your goal. It's never going to be like, oh, we're there now. It's always going to be a little better than what we were earlier, and something that you're trying to improve constantly to be more sustainable.
I think the simplest example is the cow in the house. Everyone has at some point of time in their homes had a cow or around their home. This was probably 100 years back. It was recently it is still in the villages, and so very simple process was that it used to give out a lot of products which could be used. And the cow has gone out of the house for many reasons, like she said, sanitation and all. Who would want to go to a place which is not well sanitized? In a school, of course, Pawan is telling the kids, students, this is how you have to use the toilet. It's not a very easy way to clean a bio toilet. It's a very tough way, or it's a very krantikari way to have a toilet time. So now the cow has gone out, right? And the cleanliness has come, the toilet and everything is clean. And now the same milk has been packaged, repackaged, upscaled, and has become A1, A2, A3, whatever, and it's become highly expensive. So the thing which was free of cost, why was it free? Because the community or the family was working for it. Someone was feeding it every day, someone was cleaning it every day. It was free, practically it was free because it was cow is in your house. Now you're paying thousands of rupees to get it back, in a very upscaled, packaged manner. If probably they sell packaged water, which is from the farm, and not tell them that we're cheating, but the person consuming it wouldn't know. It's like that.
I just want to add in one point is that in a lot of this, there is a last mile connectivity that is required. And just taking the example of something like a biocomposed toilet, or even something like upcycling the furniture in your organization, you have to go down to the bare basics and understand the pain points. I think given anything, it's incumbent that we understand pain points of all the stakeholders, including the person who cleans it, including the person who's using it, including the person who's just taking a photo of it and putting on Instagram, right? And once you understand those pain points, then you see that, okay, as they call in Marathi, Madhyam Marg. Then we see that, okay, we can take a path out, and which is required, and again comes down with just like, it might seem like a summary of doing lesser things, and just being connected with the market, and also being connected with what you really want to achieve out of it. Yeah, but yes, communication is a very big deal in all this, because just to take an example is that in our school when we were in a small bungalow and there were just 55 kids at that time. We were going to move on to a campus. We started interacting with the kids on the biocomposed toilets from that time, where in the English lessons they kind of talked about, hey, okay, what is a toilet? What does a toilet do? What are different toilet systems all across the world? Harappa mein kaise tha? Abhi kaise hai? Alag-alag systems. And then we also saw that in on that side of the town, ZP has a project where they are selling night soil, packaging it, and selling it to Netherlands. They're exporting it. So we're not the first people to be doing that. And what we're doing on our campus is basically what Gandhiji told, Tatti pe mitti. So Kala Sona, they call it. And then it's about understanding, okay, what do you need to really do? So what we come up right now is quite a simple solution where your experience of using the toilet is the same. Apart from the last one where you press the lever, instead of that you're just putting sawdust over it. And we are working with kids on making a sawdust flush. But till then we have a shovel which we put the sawdust. And at the end of the day, one of us faculty kind of volunteers and puts it in the pit, and that gets used on the farm. So again, open invitation I think to all our spaces. Come over and check it out, what is happening, and yeah, take it and get your stories on to the work that we're doing.
So what we'll try to do is do some rapid fire and very short and quick answers so that we'll try to cover more. In case anyone have a question in the audience, they can just quickly raise their hand and we'll take that question. But in the meantime, I have a couple of questions, and also that one segment that we'll like to do. We know a lot of questions a moderator would be asking. We know a lot of questions that जो organizer जो छुप के बैठे थे वो लोग क्या पूछेंगे या फिर audience क्या पूछेगी. But we would also like to know what questions you guys have for each other. That would be a really interesting thing because you have a lot history in common, and there would be some things that you wouldn't have asked to each other, but something interesting that you have. तो आप लोग एक दूसरे से question पूछ सकते हो, and you have one chance to for one question. ठीक है, तो एक person choose करना है, उसको एक question पूछना है. ठीक है. So meantime, you think that question subconsciously will move to one rapid fire.
The biggest mistake I've seen is considering a green building. What's a green building? Like this glass building right beside us can be a green building. Probably Pawan school cannot be a green building. Green is not only, like he said, it's not only the material, but it is the community and it is the process. If the glass is coming from a shop which is just down there, it's a green material. Why? Because he's saving on man hours. He's saving on transportation. Man hours is the biggest contributor today to any green or non-sustainable system. Pawan has done a lot of amazing structures. He's done some structures in bamboo and stuff like that. But is the bamboo available there? He's creating an example, right? For that example, he has to get stuff from outside. Was it green process? Probably not. Was it the right way to do it? Probably not. But he's setting an environment. So it is understanding this aspect and not doing something which is rustic and it's green. Probably that rustic material is like frightfully expensive. People talk about sarun tap. So sarovlela is the flooring made out of. Where does that material come from? Who's doing it? How many days it is going to survive? Probably this concrete flooring will survive 100 years and sarovlela probably 10 days. So how many man hours were applied? So you need to understand the function and then think about it. People do it just in the name of rusticness, and then like iPhone, when it started, no one spoke about green material. Today, after every phone they launch, which is $1,000, they'll say everything was recycled, upcycled. Okay, where was it got from? Probably from like across the world, and then the aluminium was whatever was. That's a wrong example.
I totally agree with what Arjun sir has to say. Because like the Shenani Sarovlela floor, it's very hard to even find that kind of manpower now. Because गावाकडची लोक इकडे पुण्याला फार येत नाहीयेत, or it's hard to find them. I don't know if you know some. But also if you find skilled labor and ask them to do that, the cost is like crazy. So it's not very sustainable at all. Again, coming back to your thing, a lot of people feel like just using natural material becomes sustainable. But there are so many options of using natural material. You can use something that is upcycled, recycled, reused, something of that sort. But a lot of people around me that I see are just going out and buying new stuff that is made out of natural material. So that's again not making it very, very sustainable. So ideally, trying to work with the resources that you already have around you would be great. Like you can see what's available in the neighborhood. For example, I have a person who works for me, so whatever waste from the society or the plants that are not needed there is what he brings to the farm, and we decorate it in a different way and we just put it up as an artifact. So seeing what's available around you and then using that, then buying something new is, I think, something very sensible for a startup.
Yeah, I think they both said some very relevant points. I would just add in that the assumption that it's going to cost lesser. That's not right. And that is usually not the case. In the case of sustainable material, I think it might turn equal or a little bit more expensive. You're doing it for a reason. It might have a lesser environmental cost, but that environmental cost is something that you will factor in. That's not there in the economy yet. And just to add in to the right example that I should take about the bamboo that we use, one set of bamboo is come from Mulchi. When the cutting season was going on and the labor were available, but the next time we were making bamboo roof, nobody was available. So we had to import bamboo from Bangalore, which turned out to be cheaper than the Mulchi bamboo. But then if you look at the material that we have, the most sustainable material maybe is the the wood, the deodar wood that we've got from the packing carton, which is actually pressure treated lumber that's come from Europe. So it's European pine that has been put into packing cartons that comes to Chikli. It's been dismantled at Chikli, and we got it from there, from out. So it's you need to do a whole analysis about okay, source कहाँ है, availability कैसा है, and the net greenness of it.
The best way is to farm grown bamboo. But then probably the school won't be there. You know? By the time the bamboo grows, the students have run away.
Great. So one more question, short answers only, and after that you need to ask question to each other. ये सोच के रखना कि क्या पूछना है. A common misconception or how would I phrase it? It's like one thing that you disagree with, but a lot of people agree with. It's like a myth, something that a lot of people believe in this whole sustainable space of building things, and a lot of people have misconception about it or else disbelief, but you have a counter-intuitive belief about it. So one thing that you disagree with, but a lot of people agree. So maybe one thing maybe for a quick answer.
So one thing I disagree with that concrete is required. So I have a strong feeling that concrete is not required. All disclaimer again, we have used concrete in our school structures, but it's a dialogue that. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done for not concrete not being required.
Less use.
We talked about disagreeing.
Anything would you like to add?
So I was just thinking about this yesterday because I was a part of another panel discussion yesterday. And by law, if you're cutting a tree, you're allowed to plant X number of trees in return. And I think it's considered to be okay. So by law, I think it's fine. But if you really look at the environment impact, so if you're cutting a 100-year-old tree and then you're planting, say, 8 trees or 100 trees in return for that, I don't think it really compensates the whole loss that you're
A lot of people try to justify sustainability with convenience. I don't think convenience will, they both go hand in hand. But at the same time, if you think that sustainable can be convenient, yes, it can be. It's an attitude. You know, what angers you or what makes you happy is a very personal thing. The same thing is sustainable. So don't compare or don't convince. Probably that's what I feel.
So we'll take those questions that you have for each other. You need to ask one question to one person.
So I met Pawan sir for the first time, but I've been following DLRC and their work for quite some time, and I was always wanting to meet somebody from the team. I'm glad today I was able to do that through this. Sir, so you're already doing such amazing things, and we've all heard about it. But what next? Like, where do you see yourself, or what are your goals of being more sustainable?
That's an amazing question, and likewise, I've been kind of wanting to connect with Accelerate Group since a long time. Every time I cycle across, I said, "Yeah, amazing office, amazing logo, should we come?" So I think the goal is that we are able to. So learning wise, the goal is that every government school should become like DLRC, where everybody is happy being in the community, and that we're able to co-learn from them. And sustainability wise, I think it is that how can we realize a learning center in every infrastructure that we've made. Like we have DLRC, the learning farm. How can we have Pavilion, the learning mall? How can we have PMPML, the learning bus? So that's the vision where you're using materials, you're using scenarios, you're using manpower that is already there. Like even if you think about a mall, um, every time I walk into Pavilion, I say that yeah, this is amazing school space here. Because whenever schools are open, they are empty. And when schools are shut, they are also, I mean, they have a lot of people. So the time wise, everything can be there. The community can be set up there. So that's the kind of thing.
So now you need to ask the question.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I actually have a question for both of them. Is that how and all of us actually is that how can we create? Take this dialogue forward. I think all of us have met up here. We've dialogued on this. We understood it, and we have similar. At least one or two priorities are matching. How can we take this movement forward? Whatever we've been able to do with our communities. So that would be my question: is that when can we have like a meetup on it, and maybe at Ecoville and maybe spaces that Arjun's curated, or of course open invitation to come up with DLR. That would be my question because I feel that it needs to go into action. So when can we act?
I think you already answered when you started. You said next time you have to come to DLRC. And everyone I think is trying to come to DLRC. So next garage sale probably should be at DLRC. And it can create a very sustainable environment wherein right from the entry everything has been marked. Like even trees. The trees they have planted makes sense. Everything they have thought about. What will happen here, what will happen here. So it's very interesting.
Okay, great. Everybody's invited.
So to answer that question, I think I have so much to learn from DLRC and so many things that we can improve at Ecoville through the learning. I don't mind coming tomorrow. So and if we can meet this week and brainstorm on something really good and fruitful for our future, I think that'll be amazing.
So your question.
Great.
Yeah, I had a question for Nicole. So basically today you have been provided an environment where there is a lot of upcycled material available. Like you said, waste material is available, right? So there's nothing got to do with sustainability and upcycled material. Upcycled material is a byproduct of a waste. Probably the first thing is to die. Why is that byproduct coming out? Probably let's stop it there. That's the most sustainable thing. Now you've been provided that. You've been provided with an environment. What if it was not there? What would your dream be? I'm sure you've thought about it, but what if you had none of this? No upcycled material, no land, nothing. But you wanted to do something. What was your dream, or what would you have done differently today? Because you have been provided with those cutouts today, you are using them. Because it's there. It's been provided to you, I have to use them. But if there was no material provided, what would have been your thought process or your idea?
So I think there are two parts to this. One is the land, and then second is everything else at Ecoville. Honestly, I'm really glad and fortunate and blessed that the land was available, because when my father invested in this piece of property, it was almost 25 years ago, and Mahangi at that point seemed like really far away from Pune. Now
I'm not talking about the economics part, not the land.
Availability.
Land, so anyway, let's assume land is available.
Was there.
Yeah,
Okay.
all that is there. But the material in general.
Yeah, so at Ecoville, if you see, we kind of promote like a farm style living. So we try and like sit on the floor and do like things that are very simple. So even if I didn't have the furniture which was available from my show flats and sample flats and all of that, we would still have promoted more of the Gadda style seating, which we still have. So even though the furniture is comfort free, we still equally do the other stuff that we're talking about.
If you have everything that you need, what kind of problem you would solve in sustainability? It's a large space. कुछ तो भी ऐसी चीज होगी that if you have endless things that you need, what problem would you solve?
I would try to solve the pace. Today everyone wants things quicker, faster. So probably the pace of it. Everyone wants everything sustainable in one month. So probably that pace of thinking, because pace is what is actually triggering a lot of things. Faster, quicker.
So if all the resources were really available, I think preserving what we have is something that I would really focus on.
I think I would focus on two things. One is spending as much time in nature, trying to do nothing in nature, and the other one is how can we play with each other.
If they want to connect with you, where they can reach out to you? Maybe any social media handles or website or something?
Well, we have a stall. DLRC has a stall at the garage sale, so you can come over till 10 o'clock. We're here, and then the contact number and everything is there available there.
So Ecoville is also not too far from here. It's hardly 5 minutes away from the Balivadi Stadium. But if you do want to follow us and see more of our work, you can follow us on Instagram. The handle is thefarm_Ecoville.
Our studio is right beside Sambar on FC Road. People who don't know Sambar, they know Starbucks. So you can just walk into our studio. Otherwise, social media and all this is there, but you can always walk in for a coffee.
Great.